What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to, well, that's our normal Sunday stock talk. We got CPI this week, CPI, PPI, you got the letters. And then we also have a couple of AI tickers that I'm looking at that could really, that they carry some weight. I'll put it that way. So I want to break down that and kind of just give my overall thoughts on the market. Per usual, we're going to break down the dollar, gold, Bitcoin, and then SPY, QQQ, IWM. For anyone that actually trades futures, right? The S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell. And then we're going to go over those couple tickers. One's actually already on screen. I'm curious. What's everybody? Let's jump into this real quick. So we have PPI on Tuesday. We'll see. CPI, I think, will have a little bit more of some volatility attached with it. We got jobless claims Thursday, Friday, nothing really. The big mover this week, if there's going to be anything attached to it, is going to be CPI. So we'll have to see. So if you're trading anything futures contracts wise, it's important to know when those are coming out, because, well, if you're on that ride, just know your risk, I guess. What's up, everybody? Let's jump into it. As far as the dollar goes, the open, we have a little bit of green. Nothing big, nothing to write home about. This is a typical Sunday open. So looks like right now we're gonna have a pretty normal stream. Sometimes, with this volatility being up where it's at, we are gonna go over the VIX. Lately, man, we've had a couple of Sundays that were pretty wild. I am still very short the US dollar, Japanese yen. I have added on, so I do need that to actually turn around and melt down. I told you guys I kind of think this week is going to be green in that, which is annoying. I'm going to be patient. I'm just going to wait. In fact, I'm even going to set some alerts right here just on this range. So what I'm drawing out right now, if you see this range right here, so we have I'm going to start the line right there. So we have one 4-hour candle up and then a whole lot of time in between. We haven't broken up, down, anything outside of this thing. So a break and a close above or below is likely going to be the direction that we do pick. So if you guys do have my charts, right click on this and then just click add alert on that line. Yes, it will alert you even if it ends up becoming a wick, but that's the time to be paying attention. Where's my stop at on JPY? Technician, don't even pretend like you're trading Forex right now. Honestly, guys, my stop is nowhere near this because I'm short. I've been short this for some time, since up here. So all I'm doing is adding on. So any green weeks up here, I'm just gonna add on. If it makes it to the 151 mark, I'm for sure adding on quite a bit. Before we get into the markets real quick, let's check out the VIX. VIX pulling on back, but is still relatively high. Remember, guys, when we're looking at the VIX, think of it like a light switch, right? This is on, below it is off. Some people are wanting to trade UVXY. It's always a popular one that comes out when the VIX goes crazy. But it's funny because UVXY is never popular until it's up here. No one's in it before. No one's in it before because everybody that used to promote trades like that probably blew their account. Shout out to everybody that traded the TVIX. Remember those guys? Just buy more. Oh, the VIX hits this. You just buy it again. Anyway, it's not here anymore. It's gone. RIP. That's what happens when you jack around with the VIX trade. VIX is the fear index, the volatility, the VVIX, the volatility of the volatility index. Even that's chilling out. It's not really a trade that I'm ever after as far as the UVXY goes. It's nothing I would zone out or fool myself into believing you could trade it that way. I could probably draw some zones out there and talk about why there's some buyers and sellers. It's likely just going to be a losing trade regardless. It's the last thing you'd also want to be short in when it just rips up like that. So if I were to take that trade, someone usually asks me about it, maybe there's an options chain I could look at. I would probably want to go with the spread, something theta and vega neutral. If you don't know the definition of that or what that even means, you probably shouldn't be in a volatility contract. Infinitely Finite says, I can hop onto TikTok under a few different names and troll you if that will make things more exciting. Kareem says, where is Brad? Missing you both on the live. He's doing his own thing. I made a video about that, but then Brad took it down. So, I don't know. Ask Brad. Shoot him a text. Message him. See if he replies. There's a Brad on TikTok who says, hey, welcome back. Different Brad. Uh, yeah, I'm finally going to go live again. Um, all right. As far as Bitcoin goes, so here's the awkward part. And so right now, if you're going to call that the bounce and say the market's good, now I bought at 50 because, well, I'm smarter than everybody. Just kidding. Uh, I'm just happy I bought at 50 because I told people a while back it's going to go to 50. That's when I'm going to buy more. And then it jacked around and put in a couple more lower highs. And it even fooled me. I was like, man, maybe it's not. Anyway, full send right to that 50 mark. I did pick some up. But now the question is this the low? Is the low in? If you think the low is in, then you are hoping, praying, fingers crossed, you have all the rabbit's feet, those poor little rabbits. And you hope that zone holds right here. You hope it doesn't break below 58. Now it could break 58 in the matter of 15 seconds. We're at 58,992. Like Bitcoin moves a decent amount pretty quickly. But you probably want that zone to hold and that be a higher low and start to work its way up and get above this blue zone right here. As it stands right now, nothing I'm trading. But for now, I don't think the market bottom is in. I think we get another test, another run at that 50. This is going to correlate to the Nasdaq as well. I think we get another run down. So, and that being said, guys, I made a video last week talking about how the market's gonna get worse. I think we do get a new low. At this point, just to be clear, while I'm saying that, you're also going to hear me talk about what I'm buying, because I do kind of think we're over the ridge, right? It's downhill from here. I think we've seen the worst, and the risk now is not buying, in my opinion. And I hate to give anybody any kind of FOMO, but I do think there's more red to come. But what if I'm wrong? I would rather buy it at somewhat cheaper prices than the absolute bottom. I'll obviously be adding on if it sells off and gets any cheaper. But what if it does just turn and rip? Like I don't think it will. It probably most definitely will not rip. We're not just going to get a V-shaped recovery. We might grind this thing up. We might even stay sideways for a while. The high might even be in for the year. A couple of my group already think that, and I don't know if I would even argue that just yet. But anyway. I shouldn't have even said all that on Bitcoin because that's something I buy every week regardless. I'll be saying all that again when it comes to the NASDAQ. I posted a question on Bitcoin. You think it may pull back like it did around 49K again? Yep. To answer your question. I do. Because I think the market's going to pull back. Bitcoin, if the market gets red, Bitcoin is just one of those. It's bought with disposable income. It's the first thing people sell when they get worried. I know there's a lot of bag or just holders, right? They believe in it, so they're not going to sell anything. We're not talking about those. Anybody that has their finger on the trigger that's going to make that decision at some point is probably watching the NASDAQ. If that starts to spill, the rest of their stocks start to spill, then they might just let that go. And yeah, I will. I'm going to buy some more if it does get down there. Made a nice trade longing SVIX. Is that the short of the VIX? Okay, the short might not have been bad. Might not have been bad on that one. Casey, how we doing? Did I make anybody mad yet? Shout out to Casey's for admitting on the TikTok. All right, S&P. What do we do as far as the open? So technically, we gapped up. We sold off. Ooh, tag the top of that magic yellow box. Who draws these things? Anyway, we opened up here. So we got a little bit of a gap up, sold off, hit the top of that zone, bouncing right now. Still a very mild open, nothing to worry about. If anything, if you went long right there, then you're up, and I would most certainly have my stop in the green if I was long ES right now. Which I could almost with certainty tell you it's going to tag out overnight. Man, ultimately, where do I think this thing's going? I guess that's the question. That's why you guys are here, right? So if we look at just top down, right? That's still technically a very picture perfect bear flag pattern. Now we did in the process of making this, we got up to this zone and almost like checked it, and I say it's a lot like a ratchet, right? It just made that clicking noise, and then it held this zone, which is good for anybody that's bullish or wants to buy the dip, or maybe you're kind of in because maybe you're in my camp. You're just buying now because it's cheap, and you don't care if it gets cheaper because it was on sale. You're buying it anyway. If it gets cheaper, you're just gonna buy more. What I like to do is buy things and then it just instantly go up and never go red. That's awesome. So if you're in that camp or you're just in the bullish camp because well you just maybe didn't make a plan, maybe you're feeling it a little bit. Um, then that's good. I don't think this is it. So let's see what kind of reports come out on Tuesday and Wednesday, and if they spike this thing down or not. Okay, so if it does spike down, here's the one thing I would probably be a little conscious of is conscience. Am I saying that right? Sells off, hits the top of this zone, never actually breaking through. Yes, technically, still very much a bear flag, but that's going to be see how many higher lows does it need to make before you're like, maybe I should just be buying. This is why out of all of them, so we got like bear, so there's bear and bull flags, there's bear and bull pennants, and then there's rally base rally and drop base drop. Out of those three, that's why I actually hate the bear and bull flag the most because I'm sitting here telling you that's a giant bear flag, and everyone else is looking at that going, well, it's making higher lows and higher highs. How bearish is that? So you'll have to just have that in your pocket, in the back of your mind, right? It's and if you say it correctly, how I say it, it's bear flag or reversal. Again, there's always that heads and tails. If the person you're talking to doesn't give you both, they just don't know, or they're so incredibly biased, they're about to risk all your money on a decision they have. Not smart. Steve says, I think ES may get to the 55.70 area before it sells big again. That's pretty far up there. If we were to make it all the way up here, the Bears have nothing to say. Period. If there's zero follow through, zero contesting this, and we climb all the way up there, yeah, we might pull back to here. That's nothing. I would not be worried. Winnie the Pooh might as well be a stuffed animal with a hole in it and the stuffing falling out. If you tell me you're bearish, do you think we're gonna go all the way up here? Good story. Go back to is it Christopher Robin? What's the little boy's name in Winnie the Pooh? I tell him to go back there. Go back there and don't ever come up here again. That being said, if you are bearish, where you at? You probably need to get your friends involved. You need some more sellers. Now, the cool thing about that is they can show up at any time. It's an open invitation, and these reports might be the excuse that kickstarts things off. And right now, I'm looking for the bears sooner than later. Lisa says 986 following on TikTok. Is that your TikTok or whose TikTok is 986? Mine says 19. Witness of the America? Is that what it said? Of the American Dream. It says definitely bearish. What is this a chart of? This is the S&P futures. So most of you guys are probably trading it. You're probably trading SPY, and that's an ETF. This is what drives the order flow. This is why I pay attention to this. The other one doesn't matter. The other one's just going to play catch up. That's all it's going to do, which is why I do poke a lot of I make a lot of jokes when people talk about a SPY gap fill. Anytime I talk about a gap fill on an ETF, kind of just tells me how much they don't know about the market. Real quick, how many are following me live on TikTok right now? Are you talking about the likes? I think you're looking at the likes. Yeah, that is 1,600 likes right now. If you're following me on TikTok, make sure you tap the screen a whole bunch and then share it. All right. So as far as the S&P goes, I told you guys last week I would be bearish. Bearish over the weekend. I am in some 530 SPY puts for this Friday's expiration. So I told you guys last week that's what I was going to do. As long as we didn't just completely melt down on Friday. If we were here or up, I was going short. We did absolutely nothing. So I am short. Full send. Steve says, I'm long now with the trailing stop. Sure looks like a short-term uptrend. For now, yeah. And this, so with the VIX still being on, guys, this is like I told you a couple weeks ago. The volatility right here is going to make streamers look like fools. If if they're just not wording things correctly, or if they're just getting ready to die on that hill, uh, you can really zoom this thing in. And for now, until the lightning does strike, there is more green than red, which means that trend for now is still up. Especially if you're trading futures, you can short this until you don't have any money left. It can keep going up, and that's how you get in trouble. So if I was to want to short this, maybe directly with futures, that's why I gave it specifically why I went with SPY puts, because risk and capital. There is not a single gap up move, anything that is going to scare me out of that, because my risk is built into the capital, as in it's going to make 100% loss, or I'm going to manage that thing for money. Those are the only two options. There's not, I'm going to try to stop out halfway or anything like that. If I was in futures, I would probably have to go long or wait until the red does show up, and you're gonna have to be quick. You're gonna be quick on the draw with that one, because red can bring on emotion with it. And I like to go short before the candle just gets really big. I like to be in management mode after that. That's a decision you have to make again on the fly, unless you set up like a stop short. So like, don't short it until it breaks this wick. If I'm doing that, I would look at the pre-market lows and highs. So tomorrow morning, right at the bell, kind of see where we're at, see what kind of range we have overnight, and then put your alerts right there. It's a pretty easy trade, super simple. You could just learn that strategy from a pamphlet. I broke the lows, we're going short. Broke the highs, we're going long. Uh, have you ever copied someone's play and win? No. Why would I be copying someone's play? Unless you're talking about someone in my group. Does it count if I'm the one that taught them how to trade? There are people in my group that post trades, and I absolutely take those trades all the time. If I don't have to think and they post like a decent trade, that's called free money. There's my admin Cody, says he copies mine all the time. Now I would never, and even being in your guys' shoes, if I'm just, and no offense, TikTok, I'm certainly not taking financial advice from someone on TikTok. I'm hoping to maybe change that, but I've seen some terrible stuff posted. But you should be cautious. Like, just because I say I'm doing this or that, so what? I do a lot of things. I've been doing this for a long time. I'll go on win streaks. I'll go on losing streaks. You guys need to fully understand everything you do. Copying somebody is a fast way to lose. And I know, because I post all my trades too. I know what goes on, but you still have to fully understand it. I'll still make fun of you if you take the trade and don't understand it. I don't care how much confidence you have in me. If you don't understand what you're getting into, you're asking for trouble. Steve says, verify all your own trades. I don't care who posts them. Exactly. Steve, what did you say the other day? It's my trade, but it's also my account. There's a way it was worded the other day, and it was it's my trade, my account, my risk. So yes, I post it, but it's still you're taking it with your money. So that's your guys' money. So some of you guys on the internet, you guys need to hold on to your money a little bit tighter. You take things so loosely, which is one of the biggest reasons gurus became a thing on the internet. Because one, you can't make a profit from it just from selling that, and two, you guys just like, well, I don't know it, so I'll just follow him. But since you don't know, you can't even discern if the person you're following knows what they're talking about. And then you just end up getting smoked and destroyed, not because, well, you could have done things a little bit better, but you meant well. You're doing well. You thought the guy was good. There's an impressive snake oil. There's a snake oil salesman out there. You guys should be very cautious. Don doesn't copy my trades because he trades differently than I do. That would be wrong, Lori. You've sold a couple of puts or calls. I remember Lori and Lisa, you guys being in a trade, and I was like, it was micro strategies. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to take it. Don doesn't copy my trades because he likes money. Um, what do you mean, snake salesman? Sorry, just joined. Snake oil. It's an old saying. I would never buy snake oil, but you'd have to just look up that saying, I guess. Let me finish up these. I'm getting super ADD on this one. Qs again, still a bear flag. Now, there the two tickers I'm going to break down after these futures are probably going to make or break this whole entire stream, which is why the thumbnail and title is AI or CPI. It's why it's on Don Fron Show and Don Fron Trading. So we're talking about AI right now. Bear flag or reversal. We played the back and forth game. It's kind of like a almost like a cursive W, like a real quick one, sloppy handwriting, like a doctor wrote a W. But it is holding on top of that zone. There's a speed bump zone right inside here. We get above that, we're on to the next. We're going to the next yellow zone. So we're just gonna play the back and forth game there. The Russell. Let's just watch the financials on that one. If the financials reject that zone, it's not going to look good for the Russell, and then IWM going down. I don't trade the Russell very often, but if IWM gets down to this yellow zone, the Russell right here, then I will buy. To me, the market still looks bearish somewhat. It's because you recognize an absolutely giant bear flag. And so I think you guys are right to err on the side of caution on that. It sounded like my guru knew what he was talking about. After all, he had a coupon code expiring tomorrow. You got to do it quick. I do like those guys. Got to create that sense of urgency. The stock market might go away. Okay, so let's go back to the NASDAQ real quick. This is what I mean by AI or CPI. Let's get into the AI part of this. There's some tickers right now that carry a lot of weight. And people are real quick to call it an AI bubble, and they're saying the AI bubble is popping, and even we've had these conversations even during the live streams as well, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case. So I made this a while back. I said if this is the AI bubble, and we're going to compare it to the .com bubble, right? I said this is 1996. We still got a few years, and I told you guys that if it's a bubble or a balloon, it's like fresh off the shelf at Party City. There's no air in it yet. We might have just put some air in this thing. And I'm talking about, and if you followed Palantir's earnings, this is what's shifting everything. Right now, if the market is in trouble, you can't afford not to have AI. If you can't afford an employee, it's a lot cheaper, a completely automated system that doesn't need a bathroom break either. And it's a million times more accurate. And so Palantir's just jumping up, and it just makes me think some of these AI tickers, we're just getting warmed up, and NVIDIA is one of them. And so in NVIDIA right now, I bet this zone right here, let me make it bright yellow so you guys can see it easy. Remember, if it's a bright yellow zone, because I'm talking about it, this will probably make or break the market this week. If NVIDIA holds this and pushes up, NASDAQ's going with it. If NVIDIA breaks this, I would like to say it's going to that bright yellow zone at 90. But man, if you've been watching this, anytime NVIDIA gets below 100, it's getting bought up by everyone, or at least all the politicians. They're snapping this thing right back up. It's just like what I imagine to paint that picture is NVIDIA went below 100, someone's alert went off, and then a mass text went out to everybody. And they just logged onto their phones and started buying. And so that's, I just, as the economy gets in a rougher patch, I don't know if we've talked about it on YouTube. Can you afford not to be an AI? If the economy is rough, we've talked about everybody dialing back expenses and all that, but one of the best ways to dial back expenses is AI, and NVIDIA happens to make the shovel for that. And we're talking about, this is not the second ticker, but look at Palantir. Palantir basically just said everybody's buying us, and they're only buying more. That's the TLDR of last week's earnings. This thing's continuing to go up. So after really looking into Palantir's earnings, I really think, so I used to do all my stock stuff on Don Fron Show, and then I just converted that to an AI only. You guys saw I sold every dividend ticker, my old dividend tickers. They still call me Dividend Don, but that's because NVIDIA Meta, and Tesla are my top 3 dividend plays. I still can't say it with a straight face. But I sold all my dividend stocks and I went all in AI because I just don't think people are seeing what's coming. I've referenced people being like ostriches with their head in the sand, or just flat out they just didn't do the research, and it's gonna smack people in the face. It's gonna be abrupt. So if you guys didn't hear, so Elon even has Optimus in the Tesla factory. BMW also has the figure. You guys remember we talked about Figure One robot? They have the second version, Figure Two, and BMW has that robot replacing humans in the factory. So I think it's going to happen fast. Anyway, I don't think we're in the bubble yet. Uh, Back to Nvidia. I've said this for a while, so I'm just gonna say it one more time. The last so last earnings I said would be green, but the next earnings is gonna be red. That's all happened so far. And I said this one's gonna be red because if we look at the last 4 earnings, the bar was set literally on the floor. All they had to do was show up and they beat it because it was AI, right? Now it's going to be AI earnings compared to an AI earnings, and the growth will still be awesome. They'll still say the same things, but it just won't be as exciting, right? It won't be as new. So I'm curious if that mixing with maybe the market selling off just leads to a red earnings in Nvidia, or and I don't know if it's just because I just like Nvidia. So just to be honest, guys, I do have a bias. I very much like Nvidia, but there is also a very real chance that they come out and say we still can't keep up with demand. I expect them to say that, but things are still getting nuts. We haven't slowed down a bit. I couldn't tell you where the end of that tunnel is if we tried. And then we have another green earnings. And if Nvidia comes out with a remotely close earnings as it did the last 4, the bear market thing's over with. That's going to take Nasdaq right to the top. The Russell might still be just drowning in sorrows, but other than that, it could be a pretty decent day in the markets. So that's a couple weeks from now. You guys still have some time. Just something to think about. It's in today's video because of just this right here. If that's the higher low if this is the low for Nvidia, again, a little bit of bias. Then if this thing sends it, I don't know what CPI would have to be for the market to be red. Pair that with Meta. Meta's my number one position. It's also I think one of the better AI tickers out there. They're trying to make their own AI. They were one of the first ones in it, so they went out and locked down all their power or their data centers. So they have most of their data centers here in the United States with clean power, forcing a lot of other companies to go overseas. That tells me they were so far ahead, and that I think is going to be a huge advantage. But that also tells me people just don't know how much of an AI play Meta actually is. And if I was going to build an AI off of human emotion, I would want everybody's emotional status, every highlighted picture they posted on Instagram, which Facebook and Meta just happens to be that, would have the best AI out there as far as human compatibility. Steve says you can only double your earnings so many times in a row. Yeah, but if you look at an S curve and that explosive growth to which I think AI is going to be, and then now I'm not going to say they're going to just shout out, "Hey, we're doubling," but it's kind of like Tesla. When Tesla first started really ramping up, it was quite a few earnings. They came out and was like, "Yeah, got it, got it, got it." Still, that's all you wanted. We still did a lot more, you know. So I hear you on that one, but the curve on Nvidia might just be. I don't think it's a bubble. Long story short. So if Meta Meta had their earnings, I forget who someone else had earnings and dropped this thing, or was that was just the Monday that everything sold off, and Meta completely recovered. If this cash cow gets more inflows into it and gets above this we'll call it 526, 529 zone, there's no way this market is going to be red if Nvidia and Meta are pushing. Meta has been going sideways since March of 24. Good. You should be thankful. I would say more like February. Yeah, we entered this range February 2nd, end of January, actually. So The fantastic part about that is it gave you time to listen to me and buy some more shares, which is not financial advice because I would never actually do something like that. And I'm only saying that sarcastically when I say you don't own enough Meta shares. Uh, Now, I've been actually pretty fortunate with Meta and not Meta, selling puts. Back when Meta was down here, I sold the 420 strike puts. Those are obviously worthless, which is a 100% play for me. I sold the 200 strike puts on Tesla. Look where that landed. The close, $200 flat. I did not get assigned the shares. Um, so I have sold 160s, 170s, 175s, 180s, 185s. I have moved my strike up so many times selling puts on Tesla. I'm telling you guys, it's about to be a brand new course. You know how to make infinite money? The infinite money glitch? You just sell whatever puts you want on Tesla and it's going to climb up and you're never going to get your shares. To be clear, guys, I actually want the shares, which is why last week I sold it and it was below $200. I was like, all right, I want the puts. I'm going to sell the 200 strike because I'm buying it there regardless. And it pushed up and closed at 200. Yeah, so I still didn't get assigned. Now, I will say for everyone on TikTok that's not in the group, they got a good laugh out of that because it literally closed at 200 on the dot. Unbelievable. So what I'm gonna do, and I'm just telling you guys right now, I'm gonna sell the 250 strike puts. See if I can't get shares there. So if anyone can read between the lines, you should probably buy some 245 calls on Tesla because I'm sure it'll scream up there on Friday, and I still won't get the shares. Not upset because Tesla is my number 2 position, so I'll be fine with that. But unreal. Anyway, real quick in the chat, what do you guys think this week is? We have CPI, which is probably going to be just a lot of YouTubers talking about it. We'll probably get some volatility here and there. Obviously, algos will chase keywords on that. Outside of volatility for that day, what's the temperature? What's everybody think the week's going to be? Hashimi, I use TradeStation, and then for the growth account, I use Robinhood, which I've thought about. Maybe I've thought about rolling the Robinhood into, which is the growth account, right? The one we started from zero. What if we roll that into a Roth IRA? Because a Roth IRA, you can take your contributions out and then your gains stay in there. So anybody that is following that has to keep their gains in an account. I worry if someone's going to follow. That is such a cash cow that people just don't understand. When you're building your nest egg like that, trading account or not, I've seen so many people do it. I have a really good friend that did this. He was making so much money just trading. And then, man, he went out and bought one thing with it. It was like the dam ruptured. And he's spending money out of his account like he's a member of Congress. Next thing you know, he doesn't have a trading account. PPI is Tuesday. CPI is Wednesday. Probably green to get the bulls excited and put pressure on the bears. Not bad. Lisa says, I really tried to help you get those shares by selling the 202 covered calls. Kane says green, unfortunately. Okay, so you guys think green? SMR Skies says Tesla will fall about 6%. Now, are we talking about 6%? What's the give or take? We talking 5.9 to maybe 6.1%? How cuz now I'm intrigued when people give me numbers like that. And then there's no wrong answer. Okay, he says 5 to 7. Okay, so 6% give or take 1. Let's just see what the expected move is on this. Maybe. Oh gosh, come on. This is why sometimes I really don't like TOS. One second. I know my screen went black. We have to end the task, and then we can start it back up again. But I want to see if we're if he's just looking at the expected move, maybe implied volatility, or what we're getting after with that. In what period of time? This next week. We are dropping tomorrow at open. Heard it here first from Max TH6. Krim says 540 before 520. Must be talking about Meta. What are you talking about? Oh, hang on, you're talking about SPY. Okay. Okay. So you think up and then down? A little volleyball action. Call that the volleyball spike. Everyone knows when you play volleyball, you have to set it and then spike it. Politicians are very efficient at that trade, by the way. Kevin McLovin, the real McLovin, has joined. Loved you in that movie, by the way. 1226. I'll just put this up for 1 second. Tesla 1226. Did that work? There we go. All right, so that puts our expected move right there. Right there. We're gonna get rid of that. That puts us okay. So basically, what he said is the expected move is $12. It's gonna go right down to the expected move and then just stay there, give or take those little impressive white lines that we draw, huh? I'm gonna go ahead and disagree. And here's why. If this zone breaks right here, I don't think we stop at 188. I think we make the full stop at that yellow zone. If we do kind of stop at this 188, maybe old resistance, new support, people will say it all the time. That might be seen as a higher low. So we actually were to turn that ship around. Might end up being a decent dip buy for Tesla. I have analysis paralysis on trades. You gotta pick a time frame, grab your little pebbles, and make a move. Honestly, that's just the best advice I can give. You shouldn't really be scared to make a move if you know how to make them correctly. That sounded wrong. Uh, you're probably risking too much, and it goes back to the conversation of if I told you to put your chips on that next hand at blackjack, and I told you to risk $1, you'd say yeah, sure, whatever. If I said risk $1,000, you're probably no, you're not taking that one. You're gonna have to think about it. So check your allocation and dial it back some. Get a couple of wins in your belt or get a couple of losses in your belt. It's all going to be experience. When you get a couple of losses in your belt, you see it's just not that bad. It's like getting stung by a bee, provided you're not deathly allergic to it. You find out actually wasn't that bad at all. Tesla could hit that yellow zone and rein it back in. That's a play I would take right here. So if Tesla were to hit that zone and we get outside the expected move, I would take the rein it back in play. So effectively, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the 187.50 puts in the money and just get 100% play on that. Atticus says, I hate bees. Don't try to scalp if you're new. The market will eat you up. Very true. Right now, this is just not a scalper's market. Well, let me expand on that. Even scalpers know this. When the volatility is up like this, again, above the yellow line, if this is on or off, even scalpers know you will win a lot or you will lose a lot. There's almost like no in between when it gets nuts like this. But any of your traditional strategies, if you're going to try to kick back and try to swing this a little bit, you have to go super wide. It's one of those where you have to make a decision where you have to really zoom in, get that tunnel vision on, or zoom out, and which naturally is a much smaller position and a wider stop. Higher volatility is better for scalping. Yeah. Movement. Traders make money off of movement, so we just want movement in general. But higher volatility, that next candle is going to be big red or big green, but it just turns on a dime and sends it at whenever it feels like it. So it's good and bad because there's times in high volatility, and I'm speaking from experience, guys. There's times in high volatility. I'm telling you, I could throw my phone into a pool, dive in, and keep my eyes shut. I even open my eyes underwater, but I could keep my eyes shut, tap my thumbs a few times, and I would win that trade. There's no trade I would ever lose. And then there's other times it's the exact opposite. I think I'm doing one thing and the market's laughing at me like, nope, going the other way. It can't wait to tag me out, and it treats it like a personal sport. So when that happens, you just have to know going in with this kind of volatility, you have to know that that's going to be one of the possible outcomes. You're just going to not win at all. There is and unfortunately, this is nothing talked about enough. There is an aspect of luck to this. There's a whole lot of buyers and sellers, everybody speaking at the same time, but wherever there's more, it will lead that way. More buyers, green; more sellers, red. And that's ultimately the answer to every reason why there's a red and green candle. So you do have to have a little bit of luck on your side. I'm not saying go out there and off every rabbit in your backyard, but they do have 4 feet. Now, if you think one rabbit's foot is lucky, just kidding. Just kidding. Poor rabbits. Leave them alone. Cody got tied up in a hornet's nest. Uh, it goes right where your stop is exactly and then turns around. Are you talking about trading overnight or volatility in general? Have you thought that in the future, traders won't be able to win as much when advanced AI enters the game with big money, more than the current algos and high frequency trading? So let's break that down. High frequency trading, people love to. That's like a boogeyman. It doesn't matter. They're scalping pennies. No one's worried about that. Algos are they still have parameters entered every day by the humans. That's how traders. Yeah, that's how firms run things. They need those algos to enter and exit things. But yes, when there is a real AI and it enters the market, this is a 1,000,000% legitimate fear I have. The market goes away. Which, if you're here in the beginning, I said the market's still going to be here next week, I promise. But just think about that. There's an AI that is now all of a sudden. Right now, we don't have AI, and I wish people would stop saying AI because it's not a thing. What we have are large language models, which is it's like a calculator. A calculator, you put in a couple numbers, it gives you the third number. Okay, we have essentially word calculators. You put in a few words, it tells you the next set of few words. That's it. We're still in the cockpit. We still run the show. We still have to ask the questions for the what you call AI to answer. When an actual intelligence starts asking its own questions and gets that own infinite loop, if it sees the need to want money, there's not a single chance you would stand a chance on that. The only thing you could do is hopefully you made the trade that the AI was making in a similar time, and the trade went in your favor. Other than that, I'm 100% and a 1,000,000%, whichever one. Just know that I am very much percent worried about an actual AI in the markets. I think that's um, Max says it'll be years before robots take over the market. I hope so. But the one thing everyone's been wrong about is the timeline, because everyone says, "Oh, not in my lifetime, not in this century, not in this decade, not in the next few years, not in this year." And every time they just keep coming out. It's like they don't know it's an exponential growth and how fast computers can think. So I'll trade every day until that day does happen. There's no need to worry about it right now. There's nothing you can do except make as much money as you can. Because here's the thing, it's something I'm actually 100% preparing for. It's something I talk about on just Don Franz show on YouTube. Is just preparing for that. And what's the worst case scenario? I have a whole bunch of money, and the robots didn't take over. All right, fine. I can think of worse decisions I've ever made. I've been in worse spots before. Or the robots do take over, not in a Terminator style fashion, because that would never happen. And then what? I get to live a little bit longer than everybody else. If the rough patch happens, I'm in a much better spot. I can go through it a little bit easier. It's like having airbags versus not having an airbag. But anyway, nobody actually does know the answers on that, so I don't want to. Again, I try to make sure I'm not speaking from authority. That's just my opinion. But it's something I do think about quite a bit. The stock market is cheaper than going to Vegas, and if you treat your account like that, sure. Market goes away and I can't make money. I'm moving in with Don. No questions. uh, let's see. Hang on. Let him cook. He thinks he's really cooking. Oh, what is going on? Why is everyone saying let him cook? I'm not up with that lingo, at least. Market is not Vegas. Exactly. I get nervous like when honestly in crib when people say that to me, it's like, oh, it's cheaper than going to Vegas or cheaper than the casino. I just assume they'll never actually take it seriously, and their trading account will probably show those results. Personally, I would rather take the free drinks and go hang out with some friends if I was just gonna throw money. But I also buy fireworks, which is the literal lighting your money on fire. Mine are just cool colors, and I do like that. Nice. It's not cheaper than the market. Okay, hang on. Let's just do a couple more since we're talking about AI. Microsoft get theirs as far as we can talk. This is we've talked about AI. AI is in the title thumbnail. This is going to be price action on some AI tickers. We've talked about Meta. If Microsoft gets above this zone, there's a lot of breakouts, a lot of make or break situations right now that'll probably end up influencing the market. Like if Microsoft gets above here, market's green. If it rejects, red. Amazon, well, you better hope it keeps going. But the gap just filled. Not this one. No, not this one or that one. But it filled the first one. Right? Is there any more? Which gap are we gonna fill on? I always forget. Maybe TikTok can answer it. Is it all the gaps should fill? Like, is this one gonna fill, or this one, or is it just when it's convenient? What about this one? Is Amazon going to 106? Because I'm a buyer. I think. Let's see. Casey, what are you doing? Casey's trying to get fired right now. Hang on. I guess I gotta take care of it. Oh, is it already? Sorry, guys. A little TikTok drama. Uh, all right. TikTok's always good for that, huh? Don't blow any fingers off lighting fireworks. A few Darwin Awards handed out last July 4th. Yeah, no, I'm smart. Um, he says Amazon. Ryan says Amazon. That's honestly not the best looking one. Amazon, as far as bear flag goes, looks the weakest out of all of them. I still very much like Amazon, but right now, that kind of looks like it might be lose. That looks more like a dead cat bounce than anything. SMCI. Um, I wouldn't buy it right now. So if it hit that, we talked about this last time, right? As it hit this zone, that would have been a buy right there. Hitting that zone again, I bet it actually goes through. And then we talked about it actually coming all the way down to here. Nothing's changed. The possible hang up spot would be this, we'll call it 440 area. Let's look at this one on the 1 hour chart. All right. Nothing's changed. Is there something specific you want me to see on the 1 hour? YouTube, where you at? Because TikTok has 4.5 thousand likes. Just saying. How many likes are on YouTube? What's up with the Bitcoin? Probably coming on down. One more time. Thought this was supposed to be $1,000 stock. It's actually hasn't split yet. It's going to split. And it was at one point $1,000 stock. Back, it was last $1,000 in June. All right. Still like Bitcoin over Bitcoin ETF. Yes. What? Why now, Kareem? I'm being serious when I say this. Why would you ever choose the watered down version? I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think why anyone would. Is there maybe something I'm missing or something? Do I still like Bitcoin or the Bitcoin ETF? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't spam thousands of likes here on YouTube as I do on TikTok. You're fine. I'm just kidding. The dividend. Okay, now there is a difference between a so Bitcoin and a Bitcoin ETF, and then the Bitcoin futures ETF, BITO. Uh, Different price action. Um, I guess there's a time and place for both, depending on why it's a vehicle for money, right? So which one do you want? Right now, this is in the growth account. We're going to have it there for a dividend. This is short term. We're going to collect that dividend. We may eventually sell a call on it, maybe even a couple, but for now, we're going to just keep it. Versus Bitcoin, what we'd end up paying in the fees and slippage in Bitcoin, it wouldn't be worth it. So this we actually own. We're going to buy some calls on it, and if we 100% lose on the calls, December calls, the dividend alone will pay for that. Speaking of SMCI, why would an institution selling sweeps of 1,000 puts on Friday expiring next Friday? Please make it make sense. They're selling puts at 1,000. They just want to own it at 1,000. That's what's going to happen if you sell a put. It's not like they're actually down. When you think about it, look how much they're going to collect when you sell a put on that. Did I just type that in wrong? I just typed in Tesla. My bad. That's what you should be doing. All right, so this is the $500 stock. If I sold the 1,000 put, I'm collecting $484 per share. So nothing. You're still bullish. You just have an average cost of 1,000. If they're selling these puts, hang on. Why would an institution selling puts? Oh, probably because they bought those puts and they're selling to close. So if you're watching something that tracks the options, you don't know if it's. I know people like to guess that there's ways to have some are an opening position or closing position, but I'm assuming they bought those puts and they're selling to close. If not, I guess they just want an average price of 1,000, but they're still going to spend the same. All right, last one, then I got to get to my mentorship group. Thoughts on Hood? So Hood, I actually really do like. Just I'm back and forth on this depending on the day. It's kind of chopped around. I do think it's cheap enough to buy now. It's something on the list of if I was buying it, I would accumulate shares and hold it until December kind of thing. But it kind of looks like Amazon, where we're probably gonna hit that $16 mark. Um, and if it does get to this $16 mark, I'm for sure buying it. But to the YouTube world, I gotta get out of here. I will see you beautiful people Tuesday. Have a good one.